Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we'll talk about credit scores. You might be wondering, why should we talk about it? Well, it seems like it's a black box. We hear about it, but what factors make your credit score go up and what makes them go down? Do we really know what factors do that? A lot of times it's a little bit confusing. By the end of the speech today, I hope that you'll understand what factors do that and you'll be able to know how to raise your credit scores. Why are credit scores important? What is credit anyways? Well, you can do things in cash, right? I can go get groceries in cash. But when it comes to buying big things, such as houses, or maybe expensive cars, or you have a business you have to invest in, unless you're rich, you might not have that cash. You need to go to the bank. Well, the bank isn't just going to lend you money unless they know you're a reliable person. One way they check for that is by checking your credit score, which in essence measures and gauges how reliable are you in borrowing money and paying it back on time. So, credit scores are done like this. Whenever you pay your bills, whenever you have grocery shopping, whenever you pay for your utilities, every time a transfer of money happens, that's not cash, 3 companies, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, get those reports from the banks that say, okay, he paid on time or he didn't pay on time. And these 3 companies are the ones that calculate your credit scores. Now, your credit score can range from 300 to 850. Of course, the higher, the better. It means you're more reliable, and the banks like that. Why should you care about that? Well, because when you go buy a car or a house, you'll get a lower interest rate, which means more money in your pocket, less money to the bank. So there's a lot of monetary value. There are 5 factors that govern credit scores, and we'll take a look at all of them. So the first one, payment history. Plain and simple. When you borrow money, do you pay it off on time? Do you pay off your credit cards on time? Do you pay your bills on time? Just by doing that, that accounts for 35% of your credit score. Second factor is credit utilization. And a lot of people actually are not aware of this. I wasn't aware of this for a long time. What this means is how much credit are you using of the total credit that's available to you. So for example, let's say you have a credit card that has a $1,000 limit. If you go buy a television that's, so the law is you have to use only 30% or less. If you use 30% or less, you're good. If you use more than 30% of that credit, it dings your score. So if you go ahead and you buy a television that's $400, but you only have a $1,000 limit, that's 40%, right? Mm-hmm. It dings your credit score. So how do you avoid that? Well, one way is raise your credit limit, right? What if you had $10,000 credit limit? Now you can borrow $3,000 easily. So this is 30% of your credit score. Next one is credit history length. How long have you had your credit in total? How long have you had your credit cards? How long have you had your mortgage? Somebody coming out of college, a student who has a credit card in 1 year, does not have this as a big influencer upon his credit score. Next, credit pulls. You ever go to Target and right before you check out they say, would you like a Target card? You'll save $5 or $10 or so. What happens is they're trying to sell you a credit card, but before they can do that, they have to pull your credit from these 3 companies because they want to see if you're reliable or not. When they do that, and if you do this too often, more than once every 6 months, it'll ding your credit score. So be careful about taking out a lot of cards. And that's worth 10% of your credit score. Finally, the last one is diversification. If you only have credit cards, you're not quite diversified. If you have land, you have a car, you have business, which has loans, you're diversified. That's the 10%. Personally, to me, I really have control of these 4 over here. I'm not going to buy land just so I can have 10% of this credit on my credit score, right? But 90% control is pretty good, I'd say. That's good enough to get you in the high 700s. It's just fantastic. So, what if you already have a pretty good credit score? You're fine. Keep doing these things, especially the top 2. One thing that I can recommend, and what I do, is raise your credit limit. How do you do that? Every 6 months, call your bank. Call your bank with a confident tone. Say, I'd like to increase my credit limit to this amount. Don't say, can I? Just tell them you need to. and they'll do it for you every 6 months, and you won't ding your credit score. Why do you do that? First reason is because of this, 30% utilization. You never have to worry about charging $2,000 on your credit. Second reason, if trouble occurs, and for some reason you lose a lot of your cash, your relatives are away, you have nobody around you. If you have some credit history and you have credit limit, as emergency money, you can borrow some of that money. If you never spend time building your credit score, you're left with almost nothing. You have no cash and there's no way you can borrow emergency money. Now, what happens if you have bad credit, or if you're a student just starting out, or you're a young kid that wants to build credit fast? How do you go ahead and do that? After reading some sources and some articles, and I actually have a friend who worked for the credit bureaus, and he told me this, and I confirmed that with a couple of articles online as well. What you do is you open a credit card account with your bank, open a credit card account, treat that card as cash. It's not free money, it's cash. What you do is use the credit card for groceries, for gas, anything you would have used cash for anyways. Pay it off on time and don't carry a balance every month, and do not go over the 30% utilization. Keep it for 1 year. After you keep it for 1 year, go ahead and open another credit card. Another credit card company will give you a nicer credit limit because they already see you have a history with the first card. Keep that open and do the same thing. Pay it off, treat it as cash. And in 2 or 3 years, you should be able to get your score to somewhere in the 700s, or mid 700s, which will be pretty much fantastic and good for most purposes of buying a house or investing in a business. So that's credit demystified for you. Keep in charge of these 4. I don't know about this 5th one. It's hard to control. But if you can keep control of these 4 over here, you'll be good to go with your credit. What if you want to see your credit report? That's another tricky one. You see these commercials, right? Oh, click on this website, and you click on it and they sign you up for like a whole year, and then you have to pay big bills. One sure way of doing it is go to annualcreditreport.com. This is a government website. They will allow you to pull your credit from all of these 3 bureaus once per year for free. You'll be able to see all your reports to make sure that everything is safe and secure and that it's good to go. With that said, follow the rules, actually know the rules, then you follow the rules, you'll be good to go. You should have no problems with your credit scores. Any questions? Thank you. Oh.
Sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
Why do the credit pulls do that to the credit? That's one thing I never have understood.
I think in my opinion, they see it as you trying to get more extended credit, so they might think you're in a jam, a cash jam, and they're thinking, oh, why is this guy trying to get more and more credit out of different companies? Okay. So you're a high risk at that point. Thank you. Good question. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Excellent job.
Thank you, sir.